kind of the same idea on a lot of these. We're going to find, what percents. It all has to do with money today, though. Today is kind of challenging again because they keep changing it like every other problem. So they're all a little bit different, so we got to kind of be careful here. So number 1 says find the following tips. You guys might not be old enough to tip yet, but someday you will be. Maybe you'll go to a restaurant or something. And
would you tip 10%?
A standard tip is I think it's about 15%. You could tip 10% though, it's optional.
I don't give extra money.
This would be like for a sit-down restaurant. You would tip your waiter.
No.
Okay, so guys, here's our bill, and we're gonna tip 15%, and this part means we're gonna round it to the nearest quarter. Actually, we're gonna round up, Ken. We're gonna round up to the next quarter. So what do you think they mean by round up to the next quarter? Okay, so if it was like $16.02, the next quarter up would be $16.25. Quarters are like 0, 25, 50, 75. That's quarters. Okay, like a quarter. Anyway, rounding this up to the next quarter would be $26.50. But we're rounding the tip up, not this up. We're supposed to round the tip. So if I want to tip. What are you doing?
Did your papers today get turned in? Is this where you put them?
No, that's a totally different class. The box is over there. Oh boy. All right. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So how do I figure out what the 15% tip on that's going to be? Okay, here's a hint. We want to figure out what 15% of 2641 is. So multiply. What's 15% actually worth? $0.15 of $26.41. Okay, yeah, if we're talking about money, where should we automatically round it to? Probably. Yeah, the second decimal place. Say that again, AJ. I mean the number part.
Oh, 3.96.
Okay. Now, that would be the answer if we were not rounding anymore, but we're supposed to round up to the next quarter. So if we're paying in like quarters, what would...
25.
No.
$4.
Above this is $4. Okay. So if you're paying like with quarters, you can pay 25, 50, 75, or an even 0, 0, even dollar. So you're always supposed to round up though on this section. Always round up on this section. So even if it's like $4.01, we're going to round it to $4.25. All right. Anyways, number 1. Number 3. Huh?
So the answer is $4?
$4, yes. Number 3, kind of the same thing. This time it says we're rounding up to the next dollar. So we're not rounding to the nearest dollar, we're rounding up to the next dollar. The bill was $64.32, and we're going to do a 20% tip. So how do I figure that out? 64.32. What is 20% of $64.32? Okay, $12.86. And if we round that up to the next dollar, that is $13.
Money.
Yeah, it's all about money today. Now this percent stuff works with stuff besides money, but I always think about money, like population increases by 6% or something like that. It's not necessarily money. Number 6, we're talking about sales and commission. Do you guys know what commission means?
It's negative, but not,
Unless
Certain
there's
like
like
whatever
a
you
sheet,
buy.
so.
Yeah. It's for like, if you're a realtor, okay, what's a realtor? Sells houses or property, or car salesman, or people that sell large item things. They usually get a percentage of what they sell, so they're highly motivated to sell. So you kind of can't trust car salesmen as much because they get money from selling you stuff. So, but if you just go like to a clothing store, they're probably not going to get a percent, so they're not trying to like make you buy things. Anyways, the point is that that money that they get is called a commission, and it's a percent of how much they sell. So they want to sell you more so that they get more. So on number 5, it's saying that maybe this is a car or something. They sold $29,450. Let's say it's a car, whatever. And their commission rate is 14%. So their commission, what they're going to take home with them is 14% of this. So how are we going to figure out what they're going to earn? They're going to get 14% of this,
That times out.
so times 0.14. There's going to be a lot of multiplying decimals on this.
right.
All right. Does it say where to round it? Round to the nearest dollar, and round the rates to the nearest percent. Okay, what'd you say?
4,123. 4,000.
4,123. Okay, now did you round that?
No.
No, it's automatically like that. Okay. So what this means is they sold a $29,000 car or whatever, and they got $4,000 for doing that. That's kind of how it works. You can make good money as a realtor. Depends, but you can. All right, number 7. All right, this time we got a different blank. We're selling a $6,912 something car, I'll say again, whatever. It's a used car. And they're selling it for 7%. Oh no, never mind. That's the wrong line. They get $483.84. Kind of accidentally said the answer done. So this times the commission rate should equal this, right? If this times this should equal this, how do we go backwards and figure out what the rate must have been?
Divide.
Right, to get rid of a multiplied value, we need to divide $6,912. Okay, 0.07. Okay, we need, commission rate should be a percent, so what's this as a percent? 1, 2, be 7%. Okay, the directions say round to the nearest percent or round to the nearest dollar. Any questions on that one?
No.
So on 5, we just said the money times 14% equals the commission. This one was the money times an unknown rate equals the commission. So to solve for the unknown, we had to divide by and do a little bit of algebra. Okay, number 9, this time we don't know what they sold the item for. So I'll call that S for sales. S might not be the best letter to use because you guys know why this is not a great letter to use. Looks like a 5, but I'm doing it anyway because I'm a rebel. So we got times 7.75%. and they're gonna earn $974.87. Okay, so it's just the first one times the second one equals the third one. That's the pattern. The sales times the rate equals the commission. Okay, how am I going to solve for sales here? How am I going to solve for S?
Divide.
Right, to get rid of the multiplier, you're going to divide. But 7.75% is actually worth what? 0.0775. So when we divide over here, we actually need to divide by 0.0775. And we're rounding to the nearest dollar.
It's a big number.
Yeah, well, they're making $1,000 on just the commission alone, so it should be quite a bit more than that. What does it come out to?
1, 2, 5, 7, 8.967.
Okay, we're rounding to the nearest, so that's like $12,000. We're rounding to the nearest dollar though, so what should we round that to? Here's the $1 place. 12,579. Each of these answers is going to be half a point, so if you round wrong, it's going to be wrong. So make sure you're rounding correctly. Ryan, you've got to pay attention the whole time, not just the last 3 seconds. Number 11. Okay, this is actually like yesterday. $75, and we want to mark it up 20%. So yesterday, what did we call this? We didn't call it a markup rate. We called it percent change. You guys remember that from yesterday? This little formula? But we're supposed to increase $75 by making it go higher by 20%. We want it to go up 20%, markup rate. So things might go up in price if they become rare or inflation or whatever. But how do I make this go up 20%? You guys remember what we did yesterday? No, not divide.
75 times as a decimal, which is 22.
Okay, if I did 75 times 20%,
15.
that would give me $15. So is it going to be marked up to $15? No, it's going to be marked up by $15. But that blank that they call markup, that's the $15. So that's like the blank number 1. Blank number 2, they call it the retail price. That means what it's going to be sold for in the store. So yeah, if we're starting with 75 and it's going up $15, then it's going to go up to $90. So you see how these are like yesterday's? So we found the markup by multiplying by 20%, and we added that to the original price to get the new retail price. All right, number 13. Okay. So this time we don't know the cost, so I'll put a C there. We know it's 15% markup, and it's going to be $18 for the markup. So what was the relationship between these three that I just did up here? Right. The cost times 15% is supposed to give me the markup. So how do I go backwards and figure out what the cost must have been? Right. Divide. What am I dividing by? 0.15. So there's kind of a pattern on a lot of these problems, maybe all of them actually. It's like the first column times the second column equals the third column. So if we ever have to go backwards and find one of these two, we need to divide. If A times B equals C, then you have to do C divided by B to get A. We're just dividing a lot to go backwards. What did it come out as? $120. Okay, that's the original cost. And we know that the markup is $18, so what's the final cost gonna be? $138. Okay, just add the original plus the markup equals the final, they call it the retail price. Retail means what it costs on the shelf, basically. Alright, 15. Okay. We know the markup is $4.79. Oops. And the final price is $24.74. Okay, if this is the final price, this is how much it was marked up. How do I find the original price? Subtract, right? If that plus this equals this, this minus this.
$19.95.
Okay, $19.95 was the original price. And how do we find what percent that was?
Divide those two numbers, the two original numbers.
You divide the cost by the markup.
Yeah, well, no,
Market,
no. Yeah, it is, okay, so the markup rate is basically our percent change. Like what percent is it going up? So we're gonna use our little formula from yesterday. You have to use the change divided by the original. What's the change? That's this guy, that's how much it's gonna go up. $4.79. What's the original? That's this guy. So,
0.24.
okay, 0.24, but guess what? 24%. We need to change it to a percent. So those were the two blanks. Okay. 16 through 20 is kind of the same thing, but what's the difference?
Discount.
It's discount, so the price is actually going to go down like it's on sale. So the final price on this one's called the sale price. The original price on this one's called the retail. It is the same thing basically. So on 17 is actually a lot like 15. The discount is $1.01, and the final sale price is $5.74. So how do we find what the original?
Subtract.
No, we add.
X
Right.
plus,
Because the discount tells you how much the price dropped to get to here. To go backwards, we're gonna have to add it
6.75.
to figure out what it was, right? $6.75. Okay, the discount rate, that's like, you know, the 20% off sale, that kind of thing. Like what percent off is it? So how did we find the percent a minute ago? Change over original. What's the change? That would be the discount. That's how much it's gonna change, the price changes. What's the original? 675. Plug that in your calculator.
14%.
0.14 is 14%. If it doesn't come out,
Maybe 15%.
oh, is it? Okay, what did it say exactly?
0.1496.
Okay, 0.149. So we're gonna round it to the nearest percent. So 14.9% rounds to 15%. Yeah, make sure if you round it wrong, it will be wrong. So be ashamed to do the problem right, but then round it wrong. Okay, so 19, we don't know the original price. So I'll call it R, I guess, for the retail price. We do know that it's a 33% discount. And the discount is $247.17. All right. You guys remember what I said the relationship between the first three numbers is?
R and that.
Yeah, this times this equals this. So how do we go backwards to figure out what R must be?
Divide.
Right, divide the 0.33, the 33%. So this would be what we need to plug in our calculator right here. $7.49, do you round it to the nearest dollar?
Yeah.
Alright. Sometimes they don't need rounded off, sometimes they just are, but. Alright, 749 is the original. And the discount was this. So how do I find the final sale price?
49 minus 247.
Right, just drop this by this much, so just subtract. And this will be the answer. What does that come out to?
501.83.
They did put that for the answer. I guess they don't say round it off in this section, they just, unless it's a percent, round it to the nearest percent. Alright, we're getting close. Alright, this one is talking about interest. And I feel like we had this conversation last week. You guys knew what that was. Interest is the extra money you make when you invest in something. Maybe some of you have a savings account. You probably get a little bit of interest from it. You will get a little bit of interest from it. Not very much. Savings accounts don't do much. But it could be like stocks or bonds. I'm not going to get into all that. Could be interest that you get. But if you borrow from the bank to pay for student loans or your house in the future called a mortgage, or your car or whatever, that's also called interest that you have to pay the bank. So you have to pay them everything you borrowed plus interest. That's how banks make money. Probably most of your parents have a mortgage right now. 21. So, maybe you guys remember, because we talked about it last week, what the interest formula is?
Principal times rate.
Yeah. Interest, we figure, but the principal means the original amount borrowed or loaned or whatever. The rate is the interest rate. Like, right now I think the house, the interest rate is like 6% or 8%. I think it's 8%, I think it's high. And T stands for time, like how many years you borrowed it. The longer you borrow it, the more money you have to pay on it. And that gives you interest, which is the extra money that you have to pay or that you get. Okay, so you just multiply those three things together. So on 21, the principal is $2,500. The interest rate is 4%. What's 4% as a decimal?
0.04.
Let's just put that over here. 0.04. And the time is 3 years. So all you do is multiply those three together to figure out the extra money that needs to be paid. What do we get? $300. Okay. If they said the total amount to be repaid, you'd have to add the $300 back to the original $2,500. But they don't ask that. Just that's the answer. Okay, 22 looks exact same thing pretty much, right? Just A times B times C equals your answer. But 23, we're missing the principal, so I'll call it P. We know the interest rate's 8%. We know the time is 10 years. And we know the interest is $4,000. That is a lot of interest, which means the principal must be pretty large to get that much off of just interest alone. Okay, so if these three multiply to get the interest, how do I go backwards to find one of these?
Multiply those two together, and then divide by that.
Divide by these two guys, yeah. Yeah, you could do it. You could multiply these together first and then divide. You guys know what 0.08 times 10 is?
0.8.
0.8. So yeah, you could just divide by 0.8. That would do it. That would get rid of that.
5,000.
Yeah, 5,000, yes. Okay. 24 would be pretty similar. You'd have to divide 1250 by the other two guys, but there's kind of a trick on 24. Do you guys see the time on 24?
Yeah, it's 0.5.
It says 6 months. How many years is 6 months?
Half.
Half or 0.5. So when you go in that problem, don't write 6 for the time, write 0.5 for the time. All right. I'll come around, check your twos or anything else you want to have help with. But on number 2, you're supposed to round up to the nearest nickel. So if you're counting by nickels, that's every 5 cents. So if you had like $2.73, you'd round it up to 2.75, like counting by fives.